The 2022 inauguration is now called to order. Councilor Manning Martin will assume the chair as President Tempore.
Greetings. Welcome to the organization of city government this Monday, January 3rd, 2022. We have a music selection, The Blue Ridge Saga by James Swearigan, performed by the PVMHS Concert Band, directed by Jason Jones. That was. And it was lovely. Would the Peabody Veterans Council present and post the colors? It's right here next. The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We now have a music selection of the Star Spangled Banner by the PVMHS Chorale, directed by John Simmons.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, they flew through the
Thank you very much. Please, everyone. Thank you, and please, everyone, be seated. Would the city clerk please read the record of election?
The election record for 2021 at the municipal election held on November 2nd, 2021, 7,582 of the city's 39,347 registered voters, which represented 19.26%, cast their ballots. The following were elected to their respective offices. Office of the Mayor, 2-year term, Edward A. Betancourt, Jr. Councils at Large, 2-year term, Thomas L. Gould, Ann M. Manning Martin, Ryan Melville, Thomas J. Rosignol, John G. Turco. Ward Councilors, 2-year term, Ward 1, Craig Welton. Ward 2, Peter McGinn. Ward 3, Stephanie Peach. Ward 4, Julie Daigle. Ward 5, David Gamache. Ward 6, Mark O'Neill. School Committee, 4-year term, Beverly Ann Griffin Dunn, Jared Hockman, John Swanson. Municipal Light Commissioner, 6-year term, Raymond J. Melvin, Thomas Paris. Trustees of the Peabody Institute Library, 6-year term, Ann V. Quinn, Richard C. Shruhan, Jennifer L. Smith, Ruth Teitelbaum. Trustees of the Peabody Institute Library, 2-year term, Katrina Vasallo.
Would the city clerk please administer the oath of office to Mayor Ted Betancourt?
Stand over here. I, Edward A. Betancourt, Jr., do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all duties incumbent upon me as mayor according to the best of my abilities and understanding to the rules and regulations of the Constitution and laws of this Commonwealth and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Peabody. So help me God. And I do solemnly swear that I will uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So help me God. Thank you. Thank you.
Would the city clerk please administer the oath of office to the councilors-elect?
Please raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Ann Manning Martin,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all duties incumbent upon me
all duties incumbent upon me
as a member of the Peabody City Council
as a member of the Peabody City Council
according to the best of my ability
according to the best of my ability
and understanding,
and understanding,
agreeably to the rules and regulations of the Constitution
agreeably to the rules and regulations of the Constitution
and the laws of this Commonwealth
and the laws of this Commonwealth
and the Charter and ordinances
and the Charter and ordinances
of the City of Peabody.
of the City of Peabody.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will uphold and defend
that I will uphold and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America
the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Would the city clerk please administer the oath of office to the school committee members-elect?
I state your name.
I,
John
Beverly Ann
Swanson.
Griffin Dunn,
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will
faithfully
faithfully
and
and
impartially
impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all duties incumbent upon
all duties incumbent upon me as a member of the school committee, according to the best of my ability and understanding, agreeably to the rules and regulations of the Constitution and laws of this Commonwealth, and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Peabody. So help me God. And I do solemnly swear that I will uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So help me God. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would the city clerk please now administer the oath of office to the municipal light commissioners-elect?
I, Tom Harris,
Do
do
solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all duties incumbent upon me as a municipal light commissioner, according to the best of my ability and understanding to the rules and regulations of the Constitution and laws of this Commonwealth, and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Peabody. So help me God. And I do solemnly swear that I will uphold and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution
of the Commonwealth
Commonwealth
of
of
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the city clerk please now administer the oath of office to the Peabody Institute Library trustees-elect?
Constitution and laws of this Commonwealth, Charter and ordinances of the City of Peabody, so help me God. And I do solemnly swear that I will uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, so help me God. Thank you.
Next is the election of the 2022 City Council President. Do we have a name for nomination? Yes, Councilor Gamache.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm honored this evening to place into nomination the name of Ryan Melville for the City Council presidency for the year 2002. For most of you know that I've known Ryan since he was born, June 25th of 1985. And he's kind of been like a little buddy of mine for a while. Ryan graduated from Peabody High School, class of 2004, as the president of the high school, and he moved on from there. He wound up going with the National Guard. He served time in Afghanistan, 2010, 2011. I think that's where he he managed to grow as an individual and become a leader that he has shown in the city council for the past 2 terms, and I'm sure he's going to do very well this year as the council president. He was elected in 2017, and I can remember when Ryan first ran, and he was like a little kid, but he worked hard, as he's always done, and he's done very well, and it's something that I'm going to mention, that his father and I grew up together, and his dad unfortunately passed in 2011, shortly after Ryan got home from Afghanistan. And I'm sure Rick would be very proud and I wish he could have been here tonight, because this would have been the icing on the cake for him. He loved Ryan, and Ryan was his world. He never missed an event that Ryan went to, and I think Ryan is the epitome of his father, and I know he's going to do a great job as the city council president. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gamache. Are there any other names to be placed into nomination? Being none, can I have a roll call on the motion?
Councilors Daigle,
Ryan Melville.
Gamache,
Ryan Melville.
Gould,
Ryan Melville.
Manning Martin,
Ryan Melville.
McGinn,
Ryan Edward Melville.
Melville,
Present.
O'Neill,
Ryan Melville.
Peach,
Ryan Melville.
Rossignol,
Ryan E. Melville.
Welton.
Ryan Melville.
You heard the vote. Congratulations, Ryan Melville, being elected to City Council President, City of Peabody, 2022.
I'd like to invite City Council President for 2021, Mark O'Neill, up to the podium for some remarks.
Good evening. It's great to be here with you this evening. Congratulations to our new council president, Ryan Melville. We're all ready to roll up our sleeves and work hard under your leadership. Congratulations to Councilors Daigle, Gamache, and Peach, who officially joined the Peabody City Council this evening. I look forward to working with you all. I also want to recognize Ed Charist, Jim Mitsoulis, and Joel Saslaw for their service to the city. It was an honor to have the opportunity to serve as council president last year. It was challenging at times, but I'm thankful for the patience of my fellow councilors as I grew in the role. I'm proud of the work done by the City Council last year and want to mention just a few of the key achievements. Number one, our city's financial condition remains strong today, even with the significant challenges created by COVID-19. Through a disciplined budgeting process, our city has stabilized our budget and still has adequate reserve funds should economic challenges occur in the future. Number two, providing our city's first responders with the proper equipment to keep them safe while they work to protect our residents is critical. The council approved the fire and police department requests for a variety of needed equipment, which included police cruisers, a new first responder communication system, as well as a new ladder truck for the fire department. The council supported efforts by our mayor, the school committee, and the Welch School Building Committee to push for state approval for badly needed renovations at the Welch School. In November, the council approved the issuance of a bond which will allow this major rehabilitation project to move forward. While we're happy to have the state support, which includes significant reimbursements of the costs for the Welch School project, we will continue to push the Massachusetts State Building Authority for approval of a much-needed high school. Working with Mayor Betancourt and many city departments, the council authorized the sale of the city-owned properties at 2, 12, and 16 Washington Street. The historic but abandoned property at 2 Washington Street will now be transformed into an inn, tavern, and restaurant. Lastly, in May 2021, last year, our council was one of the first boards in our area to welcome the public back to attending our meetings in person. In addition to holding public meetings here in this auditorium, we've continued to provide remote access for those residents who cannot attend a meeting in person, but still have the ability to take part in a hearing or issue that concerns them. At the present time, council meetings are televised live by Peabody Access Television. Meetings are streamed live on Facebook and YouTube platforms. Use of the Zoom platform allows residents to participate remotely by phone and by video. We also welcome everyone to attend our meetings in person if they choose to do so. Never before have residents had so many opportunities to actively participate in our meetings if they can. I'd like to thank Jim Palmer and the entire Peabody Access Television crew who work closely with our city's IT department to televise our meetings. We could not have our meetings be as accessible to everyone without their hard work. Our city is blessed with a dedicated group of employees who come to work each day and help make things run the way they do. They maintain our buildings, streets and parks, educate our children, help residents with issues, and provide a wealth of programs and services for residents of all ages. Thank you all for your work. We're fortunate to have a hard-working team in the city clerk's office led by Allison Danforth. Allison and her team have been so helpful to me throughout this past year. Their daily work with residents and businesses, helping the council, as well as periodically helping to run an election is no small task. Thank you for everything. I'd like to thank my wife, Tracy, and our children, Caroline and Joseph, for their love and support. I'm blessed to have them in my life. Lastly, I want to thank the residents of Ward 6 who've allowed me to serve them for the last 4 years. In conclusion, as we enter the early days of 2022, may this year bring good health to all, and may our city's brightest days remain ahead of us. Thank you very much.
Councilor O'Neill, on behalf of the City Council, we just had an outgoing gift for you, and thank you for your time and service for the City Council and the City of Peabody this past year. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, residents, Mayor Ted Betancourt, elected officials, our honored veterans, and other guests. This is really an honor to serve this particular board. This is going to be my 5th year on the City Council, and I cannot thank all of the previous councilors. Some of the Councilor Gravel here is amongst us, former Councilor Gravel, and all of the councilors that I have served with for preparing me to take on this role. I find it a true honor. I'd like to thank Councilor Gamache for his nomination. You almost got me there, Dave. A couple of the comments. When I was a kid growing up, my father would watch the City Council meetings. And anybody that watches Peabody Public Access will see sometimes the volume is slightly louder on that channel compared to other channels. So growing up as a kid, I used to call it the loud show because it was always so loud. And a couple of times I said to my father, "Why are they yelling?" And he said, "No, that's just Dave Gamache talking." So, looking forward to that this year. I'd also like to welcome all the newest councilors to this board, this council. I think you're going to find this an incredibly rewarding experience, but it's one of those experiences is what you put in is what you get out of it. And I think I'm very confident that you will put everything that's required into this job. It's a duty in serving this community, and I think you'll find it rewarding, as I have found the last 4 years. And Mr. Mayor, I really look forward to working with you in this administration. You have a great staff. Your department heads have been fantastic, and I think we're moving in the right direction. I'd also like to recognize my wife, Mariana, my mother, Carol, my sister, Kaylin, and Jack Gannon, who kind of keeps me filled in on what's going on within the senior community. They've been fantastic and supportive. Anybody that knows whenever you're doing service to your community or your country, it's your family that takes a lot of the brunt of it. So I am honored to be the City Council President in 2022, and as I said, this will be my 5th year in the council. And I hope to look back at 2022 as a productive and consequential year within our city. I believe this position to be a stewardship, and I pledge to act as president with integrity, transparency, and fairness to all members of this council and anybody who should appear before this council. I hope we have spirited and respected debates between each other. I ask that this council be prepared and willing to compromise while still holding true to the principles of the residents that sent you here. I have been told by my wife and my mother that sometimes I am waiting to speak instead of listening. There's a difference. When you're preparing to speak, you feel like you got a point to make. When you're listening, you're understanding what the other person is saying, and you're gearing your comments towards them, and that's how we will get the compromise. I hope and know this council will listen to each other, and we can set a much better example than what we've seen in Washington, D.C. these past 10, 20 years, where we will talk to each other and work with one another for the betterment of the people that sent us here. There's much I believe this council can and should address in 2022. COVID has revealed just how important municipal government is. Time and again, the past 2 years, federal and state policymakers left decisions of getting services and support to residents through municipal government. This current COVID wave will pass, and I believe the city of Peabody and this council must start planning for the new future. We know the importance now, and have it known, of a fully equipped, staffed police and fire department. The investments in those departments since I've been on the council have been incredibly important to this community, and I would support, and I think this council will support them going forward. We now fully understand the relationship and importance of technology within our schools, and that technology goes home to students during this time. We understand how vital our social services are, such as our health department with their testing and vaccination efforts, and our senior center delivery of food services to seniors when they were isolated at the height of the pandemic. There are more examples that the employees and department heads within the city have done the last 2 years. Too many to name here. It's impossible to identify this within this time frame, the sampling of a wide array of positive and commendable actions by city employees. It shows what this city is capable of in a time of crisis and when we work together. I believe it is imperative that we all understand that Peabody is in competition. We are in competition with our neighboring cities and towns and with municipalities that have similar populations or similar geographically. Think the Route 1 corridor, or think other Greater Boston communities with similar size. We're competing with these municipalities not only for businesses and residents, but also for federal and state grants, and the businesses that will continue to support our tax base while having a minimal impact on our residents. In the spirit of this competition, we owe it to the residents of Peabody to plan for the post-COVID world. This may require a review of our zoning or ensure the successful temporary programs begun to address the COVID outbreak extended permanently. It is also time we review our special permit application. The application is not up to the modern standards, and I know we can create an electronic application that is viable for businesses and will ensure that councilors and the public transparency and councilors review as we move forward in this time. Ultimately, we must be agile. On the subject of modernization, I also would bring attention to our current charter. It is both out of date in the language and the sentiment with regards to our elected officials and what it represents to this community. I believe in 2022, we should and will review that charter. Peabody is fortunate to have an enormous advantages. We have a strong commercial tax base that allows for competitive residential tax. We are located in a desirable region of Massachusetts with resources and a municipal energy source and a strong, diverse community. These strengths will give us the opportunities I believe this council is capable of taking on and delivering the results that our residents necessarily need at this time. Lastly, I know every elected official in this room has seen folks within their community and neighbors going through a terrible time the last 2 years. People have gone from being fearful to angry to just frustrated. I understand that and empathize with that. Fortunately for every elected official in this room, we can make a difference, and we should make a difference, and we will make a difference, and we have been making a difference. 2022 is going to be a year of transition, and I hope this council, and I know this council will be part of that transition to deliver the results that the people that sent us here demand. Thank you. The first order of business will be the city council seating assignments, and I will turn that over to the city clerk.
Okay, we'll do this alphabetically. I'll have the counselors come up and pick their seat. Counselor Daigle. You can just pick one and hand it to me. Number 10. Thank you. Counselor Gamache. Number 8. Counselor Gould. Lucky number 1. Counselor Manning Martin. Don't look. Number 3. Thank you, Ann. Counselor McGinn. Number 7. Counselor O'Neill. Don't look. Number 6. Counselor Peach. Number 4. Counselor Rossignol. Don't look. Number 2. I will choose for Counselor Turco, who is not here this evening. Number 9. Counselor Welton. It's the last one, but I don't know. Number 5. Wait, nobody.
The next order of business will be motions, orders, and resolutions. Any motions? Seeing none, the city council will now vacate their chairs to the school committee for their organization.
Before we go to the school committee organization, I'd like to turn it over to Peabody Veterans Memorial High School Chorale, directed by John Simmons, for some music selections.
Land of
Okay. Good evening, school committee members. We will now have a very brief organizational meeting. Our first item is adoption of our bylaws. Mrs. Dunn, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion that for the year 2022, that the school committee adopt the bylaws presently on record. So moved.
Second.
You've heard the motion by Mrs. Dunn, seconded by Mr. Amico. Roll call vote. Mr. Amico?
Yes.
Mrs. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Olympio?
Yes.
Mr. Swanson?
Yes.
Thank you. And I wanted to note that Mr. Hockman, Jared Hockman, and Brandy Carpenter were unable to be here today. Now we would next be doing the election of vice president and secretary, and I would propose that because we're not at a full committee, that we would hold that till our next school committee meeting, I know which will be scheduled here very shortly. That be okay with everyone? Excellent. Now we'll do the drawing of our seats. And well, I guess we have to do it. I was going to say you can sit wherever you want. All right, Mr. Amico. Seat number 3, Mrs. Dunn.
Yes.
Seat number 6, Mr. Olympio. Seat number 1, Mr. Swanson. Seat number 5 for Mrs. Carpenter will be seat number 7, which doesn't make sense. Seat number, my seat. Seat number 2, and Mr. Hockman will be seat number 4. Okay. All right. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn our organizational meeting.
So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor, thank you.
The council, please return to their seats. I'd like to invite His Honor the Mayor to the podium for his inaugural address.
Well, thank you, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to be with all of you tonight. Let me first start by recognizing my wife, Andrea. Thank you for your love and support, and for making the many sacrifices you do to allow me to serve the city I love. I'm going to let everybody in on a little secret. It is not fun being a mayor's wife. I'll just say that. Right? Now, I am very blessed to have a large and incredibly supportive family. I'm not sure if I could serve our city, particularly the last couple of years, without them in my life. During past inauguration ceremonies, my children would be sitting next to my wife. Taylor, age 17, Allie, age 15, Avery, who is here today, age 13, and my little guy, Brady, who's 4. They would be dressed beautifully, and my daughters would be counting down on their phones the minutes of my speech and giving me the cut sign quite often as I started to ramble on. My parents would be here, Ed and Barb, my sisters, Karen and Julie, and my brother, Kevin, in addition to a number of uncles, aunts, and cousins. I asked them all to stay home this year to help make room for the family and friends of our newly elected, newly sworn-in officials. Some of my family members told me they would be watching tonight, particularly my 3 daughters who said they would watch on Peabody TV, but I am very skeptical of that. Teenage daughters are not watching this right now. But I do know one person who is watching, my mother, and I want to say, hi, Mom, and I'm glad you're feeling much better. It is my privilege to recognize our elected officials in attendance tonight, including Norm Abbott from Congressman Seth Moulton's office, Senator Joan Lovely, Representative Sally Currens, and Representative Tom Walsh. And I want to thank all of you for being here today. The members of the City Council, School Committee, Electric Light Commission, and Board of Library Trustees, congratulations to each of you for your election success, in particular our newly elected officials. Thank you for your willingness to take on these important roles. Thank you for your hard work you do each day on behalf of your constituents. By giving your time, energy, and talent to the great calling of public service, you make our community stronger. I want to recognize our military veterans and their families and say thank you for your service to our country and for your never-ending commitment to our community. You are always our true heroes. Thank you. We have all been through so much together the past 22 months, and our strength and resiliency continue to be put to the test with the latest resurgence of the coronavirus. I have continually referred to this time in our history as the dark days. We have all experienced personal loss. The frustration, aggravation, and uncertainty that exist across our country and which are a part of our everyday lives is very real and understandable. Like businesses and organizations everywhere, the pandemic has deeply affected our city operations at every level. Staffing shortages caused by employee and family illness, difficulty and delays in the hiring process, and supply chain challenges are all very real. Just to give you an idea, the council was mentioned by outgoing council president O'Neill and current president Melville. We, back in May, voted to approve the purchase of a number of vehicles, primarily public safety, but also some public service. Now, typically when we order a truck, just a standard DPW truck to help with plowing and cleanup work in the city, we get that in a couple of months. Right now, we're being told we're not going to get it from 18 to 24 months to get those new trucks that have just been ordered. And another example, we've been trying to do hiring to get caught up on a number of city departments. And typically, we would call to get a pre-employment screening, some testing, and it would take a couple of days to get that testing done. Now it's taking weeks, even months in some instances. All of these factors have added more stress and pressure to their already challenging jobs. In fact, it is a great tribute to our dedicated department heads, staff, and city workers who adapted to changes brought on by the pandemic to help keep our city safe and operational. Their contributions during these difficult times are immeasurable, and we are forever grateful to them. I also extend my gratitude to the many volunteers who serve and have served over the years, some are here today, on our boards and commissions. I want to make special mention of the Peabody Health Department, including Sharon Cameron and her outstanding team of nurses, inspectors, administrators, and countless volunteers who continue to step up when our city needs them most. I also want to recognize Peabody's first responders, including the men and women of the Peabody Police Department, Peabody Fire Department, and Atlantic Ambulance, who deserve great credit for the skill and professionalism they demonstrate every day on our behalf. Just to give another example of what was mentioned earlier, our police and fire departments, in particular, were very hard hit during the pandemic. They were not having academies. Police and fire academies have been closed down for over a year. So as police officers and firefighters were retiring or just leaving or just being out on extended absences, we were not able to fill those positions because we weren't able to put candidates, and we had a number of candidates, we weren't able to put them into the academies, which did not allow them to join those departments. So police officers and firefighters were down significantly in their ranks and had to work overtime, had to work a number of shifts. The stress and pressure on our police officers and firefighters was great for that reason. Finally, the academies were opened up this past summer, and we're able to put a number of candidates in that are now part of the department. And in January, in the next academy, we have 10 police officers that are going to be going into that academy, and our ranks will be full back to pre-COVID levels in the spring. The fire department, the same thing. We've been able to add, we added a number, I believe 6 in the fall, and we're in the process now of probably hiring another 10, just to get us back to where we were. The fire department and police department and their chiefs, Chief Daly and Chief Griffin, deserve great credit, and I want to thank you. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to our Peabody Public School teachers and staff. These pandemic school years have been unlike anything we've experienced before. Teachers and school staff have stepped up in countless ways to meet the needs of our students and their families, and our community is forever grateful. I've said many times that it has never been more difficult to be a teacher than it is right now. As a parent of 4 children who are in the school system, and as a mayor, I am grateful to so many wonderful teachers, paraprofessionals, administrators, and school staff who have touched the lives of my children and children throughout the city. I also want to recognize our elected officials. We have all experienced challenges we did not see coming, and we have had to make decisions and votes on matters that had never been on our radars before. There existed no playbook on how to govern during a pandemic. At times, we have disagreed on issues, and relationships have been strained. Too often these past 2 years, we have had to say no to residents because of pandemic factors, and none of us are in this business to say no. We do this work because we want to say yes, we want to help people, and because we all love the city. I look forward to working with Council President Ryan Melville and all of you to collectively help our community. Earlier this evening, I attended the wake for Peabody resident Lou Sosimo, whose recent passing was felt by so many in our city. Lou was a family man. Lou was a veteran who served in the Marine Corps during the Korean War from 1951 to 1954. Many of you will remember Lou owned and operated Lou's Richdale for over 30 years at the corner of Lynn and Washington Streets. Lou was the voice of Peabody sports, having worked for Peabody TV, doing play-by-play for decades. He volunteered to do it. He wasn't paid. He volunteered because he loved Peabody and he wanted to promote the great student athletes of Peabody High School. A couple of years ago, we fittingly named the high school press box at the high school in Lou's honor. But what I remember most fondly was Lou's 26 years serving on the city council. He was our Ward 2 councilor. I remember it well because I grew up in Ward 2 during the years Lou served, and he and his family were always putting together wonderful family events. The incredible carnival that was held every year at the old East Magellan Field, I know all of us remember that well. The Ward 2 July 4th parties at Mars Park behind the Welch School. The Ward 2 road races. The trips he sponsored to Topsfield Fair, Salisbury Beach, and other amusement parks. These outings were only supposed to be for Ward 2 residents, but I'd never seen so many people lie and claim that they lived in Ward 2. And Lou never turned anybody away. Lou was elected to 13 terms, and in large part, it was because people sensed his love of the city and that he wanted kids and families to enjoy and to be proud to live here. What a wonderful legacy for an elected official. And those same feelings drive so many of us in our desire to serve the community. Looking ahead, there are many positive projects and improvements in the works. I wanted to mention 2 of them tonight that are specific to our downtown revitalization efforts. Efforts continue with the exciting plans at 2 Washington Street. As you heard earlier, local developer Ed Greeley will soon transform the beautiful O'Shea Mansion at 2 Washington Street into a 10-room bed and breakfast with a restaurant, speakeasy saloon, spa, and other amenities. And there is great news to share as we finalize the sale of the property and closed right before Christmas. Later this month, I intend to propose to the City Council a permanent Peabody Children's Museum at 10 Main Street, the site of the former TD Bank building. I believe this is a seminal moment in our efforts to further expand the Main Street business corridor and to continue the revitalization of downtown Peabody and supporting other businesses. Despite the tragedy and hardship of the pandemic, our city continues to make progress in many areas. Rather than go into detail tonight, I would like to work with City Clerk Allison Danforth and Council President Ryan Melville to schedule a time in the near future to brief the council and the public on several key projects, including the final phase of Peabody's Clean and Sustainable Water Infrastructure Project, a 4-phase, $32 million initiative to modernize our water treatment and distribution systems. Our capital improvement bond order, which the City Council unanimously approved, and which has enabled us to invest $5 million in public safety, education, and other infrastructure upgrades. The Central Street Improvement Project, which is scheduled for next year to begin, will utilize $11 million in state and federal funds to rebuild the entire Central Street corridor, beginning at its intersection with Walnut Street, right in front of Bill and Bob's, and continuing through Wilson Square onto Route 114. Our continued commitment to improve our parks and open spaces, the expansion of the Peabody Independence Greenway, also known as the bike path, via construction of 2 new trails utilizing a $10 million state grant, our downtown Riverwalk project, a transportation link between downtown Peabody and the MBTA commuter station in Salem, ongoing school improvements, the Welch School, the West School, and the future of Peabody High School, RCN's internet, cable, TV, and fiber network. Those are all items that I would like to give further information on in much greater detail, and I'll work with the two of you for the scheduling of that hopefully very soon. I also want to emphasize that our sound fiscal management continues to pay significant dividends for Peabody. The city's bond rating remains strong, thanks in part to our healthy reserves and excess levy capacity. Peabody homeowners continue to get exceptional value for their tax dollar. While Peabody residents enjoy a level of municipal services which meet or exceed those of nearby cities and towns, they benefit from property tax bills that are on average hundreds, and in most cases, thousands of dollars less than those communities. In fact, according to the Massachusetts Department of Revenue, Peabody homeowners have the second lowest average tax bill of any city or town in Essex County, and among the very lowest in all of Massachusetts. More good news to share. Peabody is now ranked number 3 on the list of the top 10 housing markets in the United States of America, according to Realtor.com. This is our best ranking yet after placing number 5 in the country in 2018 and number 4 in 2020. According to the report, homes here sell in an average of just 3 days, which places Peabody first in Massachusetts, first in New England, and second in the entire country in terms of fastest sale time. People recognize that great things are happening in Peabody and want to be part of our success. There are still areas in need of improvement, of course, but we have a great deal to be proud of in our city. I am committed to maintaining Peabody's affordability while delivering the high level of municipal services that residents expect. For the past 10 years, I have had the privilege to serve as mayor of Peabody, and I am deeply grateful for the faith and confidence you have placed in me. My passion and desire to continue to make Peabody an even better place to live is as strong as ever. There is an ancient proverb that says, "It is better to light a candle than to curse the darkness." There is no doubt that these are dark days for all of us as the pandemic continues to upend our lives. But Peabody is a very strong community. We are made up of a very resilient people. I have great faith that we will emerge from this difficult chapter stronger than we were before. That from the darkness there will emerge great light, and that our best days are yet to come. I want to wish all of you a very happy and healthy new year. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before we adjourn, I just wanted to Wish Counselor at-large Turco the best. We look forward to seeing him soon. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Got a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Any opposed to the vote? We are adjourned. That will conclude this evening's festivities. Thank you, everybody.